Well, a great Tuesday evening to everyone. We're so excited everyone is here and joining us this Tea Time Tuesday this evening. While you are enjoying the music, go ahead, like, share, and invite your friends in to join us with a time of pause, reset, and building resilience this evening. We're excited that you all are joining us. We see many of you already out there. We see Monique and Keisha. Also see Nichelle is joining us. Renita's joining us as well. Go ahead, like, share, invite your friends to join us even over there on our YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel, and you can find out more information and keep up to date with everything that we're even doing here on Facebook. So join us this evening. We want to invite you to go get your notebook, get your journal. Those of you that are joining us for the first time, we're here for a time of pause, reset, and a time to build resilience. And because it's Tea Time Tuesday, you definitely want to have your tea with you. So get your tea. And while we are getting ourselves together, we're going to allow you to share this broadcast on your social media platforms and invite other friends. Go ahead and tag your friends right now. Say, come on, the Renewal Center is starting their renewal practices, and we want to invite everybody to join us tonight. So we're so excited. We want to welcome everyone to Tea Time Tuesday once again. And, you know, we have been through the whole month of May, we have been talking about mental health awareness. Of course, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and Mental Health Awareness Month is taking the time to foster well-being, to take care of our mental health, to find strategies and things that we can do to improve our mental health. And we want to be aware of those things, those triggers and those stressors that cause us to, you know, kind of stray away a little bit. So what we're doing here is fostering well-being, and that's a great way to honor Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're excited. We're very excited to see each and every one of you tonight that are joining us. And so we're going to kick off this Tea Time Tuesday with our tea of the week. Our tea of the week is Jinmancha tea. I love Jinmancha tea. Actually, this is one of my favorite teas, actually. It's a type of tea infusion, which is a combination of roasted pot brown rice and green tea, believe it or not. And we're kind of rotating teas again. So we've said Jinmancha tea, I think about a year ago. But Jinmancha tea is very good. I like it. It has a smooth, flavorful, kind of a nutty taste because of the pot brown rice. Have any of you guys out there had Jinmancha tea? Go ahead and give us some hearts and some thumbs up. But as we are moving on with our Tea Time Tuesday, just know that our tea is combined with green tea, actually, the brown rice and the green tea combined together to make Jinmancha tea, and you can steep it just like the other teas and add your sweetener of choice. Patrick and Hope, have y'all ever had Jinmancha tea? No.
No.
I like it. You got to try it, see if you like it. But it's an acquired taste, but I do like it. So join us and let us know, you guys out there, if you ever had Jinmancha tea. As we are moving forward in our evening, you know, we always like to take time to locate ourselves here at the Renewal Center. And before you get into a posture and a place of relaxation, go ahead and share your tea of choice. And while you're doing that, get into a place of relaxation. Hope is going to take us into our time of locating ourselves tonight.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Tea Time. Glad to be here with all of you this evening. Excited to be here with all of you. As she just said, as Carmela just said, go ahead and put your tea of choice that you're having tonight. If you're having tea or water, whatever you're drinking, go ahead and put that into the chat. Let us know what you're having tonight. Please make sure before we move into our locate yourself that you have your Tea Time journal and that you like and share this broadcast. Okay, so we know caring is sharing. So we're just going to take a time like we do every week and just every Tuesday, and we're just going to take a moment to locate ourselves. And for those who are part of our Tea Time community, you already know what we mean. But those who are new to Tea Time, we want you just to take a moment just to kind of center yourself, just to sit and just broaden this, hold our shoulders straight up, and just relax our hands, relax ourselves, and just begin to close our eyes and just begin to breathe in and out. We're just going to take a moment to do that before we move into our tea time. Just a few more moments. All right. Isn't that wonderful? Taking time to locate ourselves just for a moment. As we know that Tea Time, we're built on a community of pause, reset, and building resilience. So that was our time of pause with locating ourselves. And I just want to just suggest too that even throughout your day, maybe any of your time of your day, you can locate yourselves at any moment. But it's always good to do it as we do it here on Tea Time in the community. So we're gonna go ahead again. Welcome, Tea Timers to Tea Time. Gonna go ahead and I see some people are chiming in. Keisha has green tea. Tonight, my tea of choice is ginger tea with lemon and honey. So that's my tea of choice tonight, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. So we're gonna go ahead and bring on our executive director, Patrick J. Brown, who's gonna lead us into our tea time this evening.
All right. Thank you, Hope, Mel. So good to be on this evening. Hope everyone can hear me pretty good. What's your tea of choice? Hopefully, you have located yourself, settled down for your evening after your fast paced day. I just got off of a call myself. And so I was glad to have a few minutes of countdown and disconnect and reset to connect with all of you this evening. So this is our tea time that we normally have in the evening on our fourth Tuesdays. So we're excited about being here and connecting with all of you tea timers. So I want you to just do a one-word check-in today, a one-word check-in, just one word. And where are you as you located yourself? Just one word. You couldn't share that in the chat in the comments. What's your one-word check-in today? As we center ourselves and as we've located ourselves. This is our one time that we do this as a tea time community. So go ahead and share with us. What's your one-word check-in? Place that in the comments. All right, one-word check-in, sleep. All right, now, one-word check-in. Go ahead, anybody else? What's your one-word check-in for today as we locate ourselves? Please feel free to place that in the comments as we move forward with our tea time today. Shalom. All right. Still. Okay, all this alliteration. Got these S's. Sleep, shalom, still. All right. Anybody else? What's your check-in word? Where are you as you locate yourself? All right. Rebuilding. All right. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Anybody else want to share? Humble. One word check-in. Anybody else? Please feel free. Carmela, you got a one-word check-in. Hope you have a one word.
Yes, regroup.
Regroup.
Regrouping.
Hope you got a one-word check-in.
My one-word check-in will be serenity.
Serenity. Okay. All right. Regrouping, serenity. Anybody else? All right. Well, hopefully everybody has located yourself. This evening, I wanted to, as we close out, because we don't have tea time next week. It's fifth Tuesday, actually. Hopefully y'all miss us. And we'll be back on. Today's tea time, I want to concentrate on a few points about energy drainers. And I don't know if you have a busy day or a busy life, but one of the key things about tea time, it is about increasing our resilience, which we do that through community, but it's also a way of refreshing ourselves, resetting ourselves, and of course, rebuilding renewal. So we have renewal practices every tea time. And I'm so grateful that we're able to have this opportunity with all of you in tea time today. So we're going to focus specifically on energy drainers as we honor Mental Health Awareness Month, but also one of the key things, this is about being well and your well-being overall. So I want to focus on energy drainers, and we're going to take our time with this and I'd like us to have a little interaction with you, tea timers, today. Hopefully you have your journal ready, your tea time journal. Can't wait for us to have our tea time journal. We're still in design. Looking forward to having that. And so we want to talk through energy drainers, different actions or perspectives or thoughts, whatever, that causes us to drain our energy. Sometimes it's physical energy, our spiritual energy, our emotional energy, just what we are. So before we go into that, I want you to give me your description or your definition of energy. When you think about energy, what does that mean to you? I'd like to get that, because we usually my spark. What is it when you talk about draining energy? What does energy mean to you? Because it may mean different things to different people. So I wanted to level set that when we say energy, we'll talk about what that means from our perspective here in our renewal practices. But we'd love to hear from you. What are your perspectives on when you say energy? What does that mean to you when as it relates to energy drainers, and why is that important? And we're having this discussion regarding that as far as renewal practices. So let's start off with the first energy drainer. We're going to cover about 8 of them this evening, and we're going to take our time with these, because as we talk about locate ourselves, that is what we do during tea time. All right. Michelle says force of fuel. Anybody else? What does energy mean to you when you talk about your energy or relating to energy drainers? Thank you. Renita says strength and momentum. Anybody else? Because there are things that come to drain and sap us of our energy. All right. Keisha says stamina. Anybody else? Mel, Hope, any thoughts on your perspective on what does energy mean to you?
I would say energy is the power of the essence of who I am. It's the power that drives me.
The
power
of essence that drives you. Thank you. Hope, what does that mean to you? What are your thoughts?
I was thinking along the same lines of what Carmela just said, just like the drive, the energy, the essence of my being, in being of who I am at kind of like at the core, what drives me.
Yeah. Okay, good. What drives you? What gives you? It comes from your core. Monique says forward movement. We've got very different answers this evening. This is good. Force of fuel, strength and momentum, stamina, forward movement. Anybody else? Please share. If you have some other ideas you want to regroup, please share those again, over and over again, what you're hearing, what's coming to you as we're engaging in this discourse this evening in renewal practices. So let's jump into our first one for this evening. Number 1, trying to control things we can't control. That's the first energy drainer we're going to focus on this evening, is trying to control things we can't control. Now, as you are thinking through this, Charlisa says inner source. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else, please feel free to share your perspectives. Power in the push. Now, number 1, trying to control things we can't control. That's the first energy drainer we want to focus on in our renewal practices. Now, I want you to consider, what are some things that you try to control that you know that you can't? And maybe you don't have to answer that, but just internally process that and really think through that, because there are things that are out of our control and things that we can control. You can't control time, but you can control what you do with your time. You can't control people. As much as you might want to do a Jedi mind trick, you just can't do it. Okay? You can influence, but you can't control. Can't control the weather, but you can influence how you go out in it. So I want you to consider a possible energy drainer could be that we try to control things we can't control. How does this resonate with you as a renewal practice? Because this is an energy drainer. It's when I try to control things that we can't control. Somebody's not meeting certain expectations. That drains energy because you're trying to control them, trying to redirect them. Certain circumstances in other people's lives, trying to control them or control the outcome, perhaps. It is their own choices. So I want us to think about this as a potential energy drainer. Now let's go back to our definitions. All right. Power in the push. What is draining your power in the push? What is draining your inner source? What is draining your forward movement? What is draining your stamina? What is draining your strength and momentum? What is draining your force of fuel?
Yeah.
Dr. Brown, our dad. Hey, Dad. Good evening. What's draining your increasing of momentum? Or as Hope said, core. So let's think about this as our first renewal practice this evening is about trying to control things we can't control. Let's meditate on that as a possible energy drainer. And I want you to consider if that's something that perhaps from time to time that might be a drainer for you that you need to release. And again, this is about identifying on a pendulum. Sometimes we do different things and we have to monitor our thoughts. We have to monitor what we're thinking, monitor perhaps, and be aware of what's draining us. So I want to just pause here for a moment and let's think about this. Any feedback, Hope, any feedback, Mel, just on your thoughts. Please go ahead and share.
Well, when you say draining, the first thing I thought of was leak. Like what's causing things to leak if we're saying, our energy leak, like a leak.
Okay.
When you say drain, like I'll say I've seen something that someone says like their fuel. And when I thought of fuel, I thought of gas. And if my car has a gas leak, then it can't move forward, right? So that's it, like kind of like what holes are there that is draining the essence of who I am, that's draining my fuel and my energy, that's leaking out that maybe I'm not aware of. So that's what I think of when I think of those, of having that draining of the energy from myself. What things do I need to sit and think about that is draining from me, that's causing leaks and holes to my energy and to my momentum and moving forward?
Okay.
Yeah.
Leaks. And it's imagine, you need to plug up those leaks or repair those leaks. And one potential leak is trying to control things that we can't control.
Yeah.
Mel, any thoughts on that?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind is I was looking at the words that you had on the slide. And, it says trying to control things that you can't, trying to control things that we can't control. And when I keep thinking about trying, I'm like, okay, that means during those times where it's like fruitless. You just keep going. And you're not getting the results. So it's, trying, it's fruitless. You keep doing it and, trying to do something. And the word can't jumped out because that means it's out of my influence. I was thinking about what you were saying. And I was writing it. It's you're trying, you got a fruitless effort and you're trying to do something that's out of your influence. You just can't. And so, like Hope was saying, it's very draining. It's like a leak that's happening. It's oozing out. And so when it oozes out, your energy oozes out, you lose traction, you lose momentum, you lose all that you have because you're doing something that's fruitless, such as what Dr. Brown, our dad, is saying, like worrying, because a lot of us, may have that issue. You worrying about this one thing and you cannot control it. It's out of your influence and it's fruitless because you're not getting the results that you're looking for.
So I want us to consider this. Thank you for sharing that, because one of the things about energy drainers, it is about leaking, like you said, Hope. It is about trying to control, trying to have things all in order. Michelle says perfectionism.
Yeah.
That's important. Mel, you talked about things that are fruitless. It's just powerful. Christine says, yes, fruitless. That is powerful, a waste of time. So I want us to think about this as it relates to potential energy drainers. First one is trying to control things we can't control. Now, like everyone, if you're there and you have a journal out and you're watching this, I want you to think about on one side, and we've done this exercise before, on one side of the sheet, I want you to put things you can't control. But on the other side, I want you to write down things you can influence. So there are things you can control, but you can't influence it. Like I can't control time, but I can influence what I do with my time. I can control my attitude, even if I can't control somebody else. Okay. So it's important that we focus on our responsiveness, our reactions, because if we try to control things that we can't control, and we try to, that is an energy drainer. Number one. Second one, trying to prove our worth to everybody. Number two, trying to prove our worth to everybody. Now, this is difficult for the people-pleasing person. All right. This is challenging for the people-pleasing person because that personality. I want everybody to be happy. I want to make sure everything's on point. I want to make sure I lean in and I show up right. And so I don't want to let anyone down, because if I let them down, then what's next? Then we begin to let ourselves down. Well, I'm a bad this, or I'm a bad that, or we label ourselves because, again, it's a draining of our energy when we try to prove our worth or value to everybody. People navigate like this. It happens in careers. It happens in jobs. It happens with perfectionism. It happens with our looks. I got a gap. I got to prove my worth because of the gap I have. My features. There's all these different things draining energy over what? Right? That's an energy drainer. Sometimes it happens in performance. It happens in terms of our jobs, our careers, many things that we experience. And it is an energy drainer trying to prove our worth to everybody. Renewal practice number 2. Trying to prove our worth to everybody. And sometimes it can be subtle and we don't even know that we're doing it.
Yeah.
All right, we got 8 of these tonight, and I want us to think about it. It's like a continuum.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like a continuum. So that's why it's just, we started out trying to prove our worth, trying to control things we can't control. Number 3 is trying to be someone we are not. Trying to be someone we are not. Now, I want to hear from the tea timers. How has this played out in our lives, trying to be someone we are not? It's interesting. How does that play out in a person's life when they're trying to be someone they are not? What does that look like as an energy drainer? We talked about trying to control things we can't. Then we talked about number 2, which is trying to prove our worth. But then there's this, trying to be someone we are not. How is that an energy drainer? That's interesting. Thoughts on that.
Well, I'll say that, it takes too much energy trying to be anyone other than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important to embrace your authenticity of who you are. And living a life where we're constantly trying to prove to be something that I'm not. In the end, you're just drained. You're tired because you're operating in a place where that's not authentically you. That's why it's easier and better to authentically be who you are. And it doesn't take much energy to be who you are because you're just being. You're just being because you're authentic and you're just being. And so that I can say it definitely does, drain your energy because you're thinking, how can you please? How can this and that? You're always constantly thinking about how you can prove and how you can please this person, that person. And that may be many of people that you're trying to be other things for different people for, different situations, So that's why it's important to authentically be you. But it's definitely draining. The constant wear and tear of just trying to be something that you're not and not authentically be you is definitely draining, I would say.
This is good stuff. I'm just reflecting because some of these comments that are coming in are quite powerful. Renita says this as well. Perhaps it's an attempt to impress for acceptance or validation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Keisha says it shows up when there is comparison to others. That's something else. That's another one that we're going to get into. Trying to live up to everyone else's expectations takes away from who you are.
Yes.
Not being confident in your own skin. It's like an actor performing. You're in character and not your true, authentic self.
Absolutely.
Seeking for a sense of belonging, wanted, feel secure in search of what appears to be popular or acceptable. Perhaps that's a reason why people want to be someone that they're not. Absolutely, uniquely me. So I think these are important uh, perspectives here when we are looking at trying to be someone we are not. Being true to your strengths,
That's right.
being true to your weaknesses, being true to your proclivities or your tendencies, being true to the totality of who you are, and being able to embrace all of that. That's important because it's a draining when you're trying to fix things. I stay most of the time, I stay in my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my weaknesses going to be there. It's just going. It is what it is. It's going to be there. So what I'm doing is leaning more into how can I sharpen my strengths and focus most of my energy and my time and my attention and development in my strengths. Now, when we say weakness, I'm not talking about flaws in character. Flaws in character, we need to address those. Take a good look at those things. Weaknesses, that's another conversation. All right. So I want to encourage us as far as this third one is trying to be someone we are not. Before I go to number 4, Melanie, thoughts on this one?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with every statement that our community is speaking about tonight, because one of the things that's so dear to me is the fact that it goes back to our individual uniqueness. If we, sometimes we want to forget that our fingerprints are a design original.
Mm.
And, if we start to forget, I'll say it like this, sometimes we'll forget, which goes back to the fact that we weren't created to be chameleons. We're not chameleons. But a chameleon is going to always blend into the environment that it's in constantly. And, you put yourself on a treadmill when you do that. You just continuing on a treadmill, you're not going anywhere. So each environment that you're going in, I'm saying, and you're not embracing the unique person that you are. Of course, you have to, tailor make yourself, to, acumen. But what I'm talking about is denying the full essence of who you are so that you compromise who you are to be a chameleon for the environment that you're in.
Very good. And again, folks, these are things that are energy draining.
Yes, very much so.
Let's monitor these. Let's ensure that we're looking at it in a way that's reflective, but also in a way that we're not fostering or sowing those kinds of seeds. All right, let's hear some of our tea timers this evening. It's a yo-yo effect, trying to be someone that I am not. One does not know who he or she is. Okay, pet peeve, when parents compare children. That plants the seed very young that some never overcome. One has to love themselves and who they are, flaws and all, and simply not knowing who you are. Absolutely. Each of us are a designer original. Thank you all for sharing your comments and perspectives here. Again, folks, we're talking about energy drainers as renewal practice this evening. We're discussing the importance of being aware of our energy drainers. We started out talking about what does that mean to us as far as when you see your energy, and people gave different answers and perspectives. I think were very important that we started with that foundation. And so we'll move on to this next one here. Wow. And we heard this. Comparing ourselves to others. Now, in what ways do we compare ourselves to others? And I think this is important in the advent of social media, of course, when we want shares, likes. Yes, we do want to have our content expand. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a share or a like or content. Some of us use media for different purposes, right? And so it's important that we're able to understand why we use it for certain purposes. However, it can be draining if you're trying to control people's responses. It's draining if you're trying to prove your worth through what you do. That's a drain. It's a drain when you're trying to be someone who you're not. In other words, I promote something that I'm really not. And lastly, when we get into comparing ourselves to others, so that can happen online, it can happen offline. So it's not a matter of what you post or don't post, or what you have out there and what's not out there. It's really about what's going on in the heart and the head space. That's really where it really drains you. So comparing ourselves to others is another form of energy draining. It just drains who you are. It drains you at the core. It drains your emotional state. It drains your thought space. Constantly being in competition with other people, that's another form of comparison, competitive perspectives. All right. Those are things that really drive you. And that's why it's important that we establish relationships and friendships that are not about comparison, being around others that affirm your authenticity and uniqueness and not distract you with comparative measures. Yeah. Right? That's important. And it comes out in different ways from different people, from different interactions. So we must be aware of that as a potential energy drainer. I'm going to pause and sip my tea. Any thoughts?
Oh, excuse me. I'm drinking my tea too.
Okay, that's fine. I wanted to meditate on that one because I think it's important that we're able to embrace that, because many times we can be in environments that foster that type of tension, and that can be a draining atmosphere. So just as a renewal practice, let's be mindful of that. All right, let's go to the fifth renewal practice for this evening, is reminding ourselves of past mistakes. Reminding ourselves of past mistakes. Now, Mel and I were talking earlier, and I was saying our past should not be a hammock. It should be a springboard. We shouldn't just sit in it and rest in it because of what happened was. So it shouldn't be a hammock. We should be able to use it as a springboard if at all possible. But because we have a mind and we have a memory and we have that repeater, many times we go into a past mistake. Something didn't work out. I've gone through that. Yeah. Sometimes there are indicators that just try to come back again in the thought process, and it drains your energy. And sometimes you can stay there too long looking at what happened was. All right. Or being around others that want to remind you of where you were.
Where you were. Yeah. Remember when?
Yeah, remember when, and, or I stay there and I meditate on where I was, because again, I'm reminded of the past mistake. Yeah. So again, this is not just about others as much as it is about, why am I meditating on it? Why am I constantly letting this be there and being aware of that? And if that's there, folks, we got to consider this as a renewal practice to say, let me stop thinking about that and not rest on that. Any thoughts on that? Anybody? Audience tea timers, Hope, Mel, any thoughts on this one? Again, our fifth renewal practice is about reminding ourselves of past mistakes.
I think we all have that recorder built in. It's there, and it's a matter of, are we going to listen to it, or are we going to replay and put it on repeat? We all go through that from time to time. Remember when, remember that, remember when. And so it doesn't do any good. Once again, it's, like we were hearing the yo-yo effect, getting on the treadmill, going on a merry-go-round. It's like you go on a merry-go-round of fruitless efforts to try to find some validity in why you did something. So you're dissecting it. You just keep pulling it up to dissect it. And so it doesn't really do any good. I mean, we all have that, that recorder in there, of course. And so it's just a matter of trying to understand we don't have to listen to it or just turn it off altogether. That's not easy to do. It's reality. It's there.
Not at all. This is good because, I encourage people, kind of like what we talked about a few weeks ago when we were in our last tea time, and the importance of if it's a feeling, allow it to come and then allow it to go. Allow it to rise up and allow it to pass. Not fighting the force of the emotion, but allowing it to come forth and then just letting it pass. Because again, it's going to find some place in your body, some way, somehow, if you express it.
That's true.
I mean, who would not want to express happiness? Right? You express it with laughter or a smile. Let it find some place. It's an emotion. Let it. So something else from the past that's an emotional battle. Let it come up and let it pass. Right? Allow it to find a place of safe expression, because you know that you're not going to stay there. All right. Keisha says, this is what I tell myself. It happened and now I move forward. Don't get stuck. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes. Christine says it can be hard to not get stuck and repeat. Our mind is in a battle. Thank you for sharing. Michelle says, in all transparency, that can be pull one down a very dark hole. It can be a dangerous thing. Absolutely. That is why we're talking about this as a renewal practice. It's important. It also reveals, Charlisa says, it also reveals our true position of how well we have healed from it. Thank you for that point. And Monique says here, when reminders of the past emerge, remind yourself that you don't have to live there.
Yeah,
thank you.
I like that.
I think that these are all important ways. Again, part of Tea Time is building that resilience. So thank you, everyone, for sharing your perspectives. Hope, any thought on this one as far as reminders that you like to share from your perspectives on reminding ourselves of past mistakes?
Sure. For me, because I used to do it really, really bad, really just constant. And I found it to be like quicksand. Like quicksand of the past. And once you get in it, then you're stuck and it's just taking you down and taking you down and taking you down. And so for me, I had to allow myself to, to not go into the quicksand of the deep thoughts of the past mistakes.
That's
So
good.
that I can get stuck there and so that I won't be drained into that, because that is a drainer as well. Because how can I move forward if I'm still stuck in a past mentality? If my mind is still stuck in past, and I mean, it comes up. We've all dealt with it, and we still sometimes deal with it at times. But it's just when it becomes that repetitive thing every single day, where I can't move forward in my mind and in my mentality, and my mind is in a quicksand type of state where I'm just being taken in by all these past thoughts and past mistakes or whatever happened. I have to be mindful of my thought processes for me and my mindset, that I'll be in a forward mentality and moving forward and not being stuck in the quicksand of my past.
Wow. That's powerful.
Yes. Quicksand.
Yeah.
The more you move in it, the deeper you get.
Yeah. Wow.
That's slowly. Yeah. Around says we can learn from mistakes, but one should not habitually allow the past to dictate my future.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Because I think, if I may say, because it just seems you learn. So as you evolve and you grow and you learn, from where you were, that you can move in a new direction and a fresh direction. And you don't, like as Hope said, you don't have to get stuck in it. The only way not to get stuck in it is not to go back to it, like she said.
Not get stuck in it and not go back to it.
Not go back to it. Yeah.
All right now. All right, RC team. Yes. Folks, we're talking about energy drainers.
Yeah.
This is good. And I think this is very good from a mental health perspective and from a wellness perspective as well, that we look at what tries to drain our energy. Worrying about what other people think about us. Worrying about what other people think about us. That's another energy drainer.
It is.
Key phrase, worrying about what other people think about us. That's a potential energy drainer as well. I'd like to hear from our tea timers, perhaps. What are your thoughts on that? How has that been an energy drainer, or anything that we've shared thus far of the previous energy drainers we've shared this evening? All right. It's important that we're able to focus on what drains our energy and in beginning to work on eliminating it. This is part of wellness. This is part of well-being. If there's anybody else that you think needs to hear this message, please tag them. Please share this replay with them as well. We want to encourage people to focus on how these areas perhaps continually drain our energy as well. Any thoughts on that as far as worrying about what other people think, that you like to share? Any thoughts? Okay. All right, we can keep rolling. All right, let's go to our next one. All right. Being too hard on ourselves. Mm. Being too hard on ourselves. Now, this is again,
It's a good
perhaps for perfectionist mentalities, not allowing yourself grace, not giving yourself grace. And then the self-talk creeps up after this because we're too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an energy drainer. How is being too hard on yourself an energy drainer? Anybody else out there deal with this? Or maybe previously did? You want to share that? I think we need to embrace grace.
Yeah.
And being gracious with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Renita says here, worrying about what others think about of us is also outside of our realm of control. Ooh, we can only be ourselves and make choices to better ourselves. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes.
That's a realm that's out of our control. All right. Another issue I've overcome, but it took my whole life to get here. Thank you for your transparency, Michelle, with that as well. This is absolute truth. We got to consider that we eliminate worrying about what others think about us. And I appreciate you, Renita, sharing that as far as being outside of our realm of control. You know, we can only be ourselves and make choices to better ourselves. All right. And I think it's important that we consider that, especially as it relates to being too hard on ourselves. Sometimes we're so hard on ourselves that we can't move. We can't move forward. We can't advance because we're constantly critiquing ourselves. We already live in a world of critique anyway. We live in a world of comparison already. Why join the club? Right? So let's give ourselves grace, a place of grace.
Yeah.
Self-compassion. Self-compassion. Yeah.
Allow ourselves to be human. It's a part of being human. We're not perfect. And perfectionism or things like that can keep you bound, even to being your authentic self. By not showing grace to yourself. When we show grace to ourselves, we're more open to show grace to others as well. So that's important that we show ourselves grace in maybe areas that we may not be strong in, and those things can become draining as well because we're always trying to meet a certain expectation constantly, what do you think, the thing that goes on that little wheel, just constantly going around and around and around, and it's just draining all your energy because you're trying to be, sometimes perfect or not showing yourself grace in certain situations, and allow ourselves grace to grow, grace to make mistakes, and grace to be able to move forward.
Move forward. Key point, move forward. And you said also self-compassion. Lisa says here, being too hard on yourself, you begin to lose who you are. Absolutely.
That's true.
Rita says, being too hard on ourselves is a stress inducer for me. There's a place for self-assessment, but within reason. Yes, within reason. Now, this is for also the people in the back, right? Again, let's think about this. It doesn't mean, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to be me. No. All right? Because who we are does impact other people. That doesn't mean we ignore what we need to work on. But that's not what this conversation is about this evening. This renewal practice is just really about energy drainers. But I just want to just share that a little bit, because I think sometimes people think, well, it don't matter what anybody think, I'm going to be me. Well, wait, hold on. All right? We don't want our keeping it real to go wrong. All right? So we don't want that to take place. All right? So let's just be mindful, again, from our perspective as far as renewal practices. Give yourself grace. Yes, self-assessment within reason. Yes, Mel, you said self-compassion. Those are all important to draining our energy. And our last one for this evening is spending time on things that don't matter. Spending time on things that don't matter. Now, ask yourself the question: what's living rent free up here?
Yeah.
What's living rent free All right. Why are we allowing it space that we shouldn't give it? Spending time on things that don't matter. That includes thoughts. Just letting it live there. Just letting it stay all up in your head. Just staying there.
Just marinating.
Yeah. They probably thinking that some of us tell ourselves a whole true blue 3D, 4D metaverse story. We're just sharing it. And I kind of convince myself this is what they think, and boom, 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 just living rent free. They're not going to sleep, eating their donuts, and you over here still telling yourself stories about stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Again, spending time on things that don't matter. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mel. You share. Please share.
No, I was saying I agree. Going back to the fact that you were talking about draining, it's like back again, fruitless, pointless. I mean, we try to make logic out of why we're sitting there thinking about that all the time. But in essence, if we really think about doing things that really don't matter, it does take up our time. It takes up a lot. We find ourselves an hour, 2 hours a day, maybe a week has gone by and we've missed the things that we should have been focused on because our minds is so narrowed into or zeroed in or razor focused on something that really doesn't matter. That's once again out of our realm of control or influence. And so I agree with what you were saying about that. That is a factor that drains us.
And other people's urgency, the tyranny of the urgent, urgencies, letting other urgencies become our emergency.
Right.
Well, I don't want to be a bad this because I feel this obligation or guilt. No.
Yeah.
All right. The power of no. And spending time on things that don't matter. I really want us to meditate on these things, think about it. Now, I want you in our last, because we're going to do another locate yourself exercise before we finish our tea time this evening. Think about everything that we've shared this evening, folks, as far as our renewal practices. And I want to bring up one more time this pendulum here, this whole infinity, and allowing ourselves to consider, what am I trying to control when I know I can't control it? Am I trying to prove my worth to someone or to people? Am I trying to be someone that I'm not? Other pressures, external pressures, internal expectations, self-imposed type of things, limitations.
Yes.
Comparing ourselves to others, reminding ourselves of past mistakes, worrying about what other people think about us, being too hard on ourselves, spending time on things that don't matter. These are our renewal practices, and these are energy drainers, and we're going to end our tea times for the month of May on a high energy, on a peaceful energy note, on a reflective note, a refreshing note. And I'd like you, our tea timers, to really consider what is it that you've gleaned from today's tea time? What's jumping out to you as a practice? When I find myself creeping in this place, I fight to embrace what I see, but accept how God sees me. The latter usually wins.
Yeah.
Your transparency, having a feast. That's what happens, folks. So do that if we let it. All right. My peace has become so valuable to me that I quickly rid such things. Thank you for sharing. Spending time on things that don't matter leads me to the questions. What really matters to you? Does this really matter in the long run in your life?
That's good. Yeah.
So let's take a few minutes again. I'd like you to locate yourself if you can join us, and then we'll have some announcements. And I want us to do another locate yourself exercise just for a good solid minute or two. And I want you to just really refresh yourself and affirm yourself, clear yourself up. It could be something related to your job, friendships, relationships, whatever it is that you're experiencing. And through resilience this evening in our tea time renewal practices, we have located perhaps a space that's been draining our energy. Maybe something we shared this evening or someone else may have shared that resonates with you and you've grown from it. So that's what we want to focus on. So pause for a moment right where you are if you can. Find a posture and a position to pause, if you will. And then we're going to do a brief exercise again on locating ourselves. And this is centering who we are. So just go ahead and close your eyes. Let's take another moment, if you will. Take a deep breath in and hold it for a few seconds. And then breathe out. Tell yourself, I will not be hard on myself. I will not expect perfectionism. I will not try to prove myself to people. I'm not going to allow myself, my worth and my value to be so overwhelmed. I want to find a space of grace and self-compassion. I'm accepting all that I am. And by accepting that, I open up for growth and expansion in every area of my life. That's locating yourself with these energy drainers. And that tea timer concludes our renewal practices for this evening. All right, share with us, please, if you will, what's your takeaways? We're going to do that. So what are your takeaways? What are your applications for our tea time this evening, our renewal practices? I tell you, this has been great. Everyone, I know next Monday there's Memorial Day, so we'll be off on the next Tuesday, but we want you to take some time because, again, this is about your wellness and your well-being. As you're doing that, I want to bring up a few announcements. I hope you want to maybe lead us into our giving initiative and how people can support us here at the Renewal Center.
All right, so we are happy to announce our spring giving initiative. We would love for you to join us and come into us from May 9th until June 9th. We have several ways that you can actually give to the Renewal Center. We have our giving initiative about 4 times a year, and we invite you to join us in giving to the Renewal Center, the mission and vision of the Renewal Center, as we continue to come forward with great programming. We invite you to join us for our giving initiative for the spring. And also, this is Giving Tuesday. All right, join us in the giving season as we give together. We invite you to be able to give, and on the screen here is our several ways that you can be able to give to us, and that we may continue to move forward with the great programming that we have. We invite you to join us to be able to give to the Renewal Center. Great vision. We're just, in our digital and our local location. We invite you to stop by if you haven't been by and actually see what we're doing at the Renewal Center. We invite you to also download our mobile app as well and connect with us. Through the mobile app, you can receive notifications as well as being able to give and prayer requests, and even some of our services that we've had, you can go there and watch. The mobile app is a great asset, a great tool right at your own hand. You can receive notifications and updates on everything that's going on at the Renewal Center.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Hope. Appreciate that. Carmela, if you can perhaps share with us what you're doing, what you have upcoming here in June.
Oh, yes. Actually, I'm having my virtual winning strategies mini class. I'm excited. I'm bringing it back again in 2023, and I'm asking you to join me. Now, this is for those of you that have goals. You already have your goals. You've written your goals down, but a lot of times we're writing our goals down. You have it on paper, but we need strategies to put these goals in motion. And so I have some strategies that I have put in place to help. You can be a business owner, your professional life, whatever it is, even if you're trying to get some personal goals written down. You want to take these goals and you want to mobilize them and crystallize them. And so that's going to be June 17th, a Saturday from 1 to 4. You can check my Facebook page and find out more information on how you can register for this, because registration is open. You can go to www.transformational-moment.com. I would love to see you at my mini class this summer. Thank you
for sharing that. Thank you so much. I also want to share with you also that I have a Change Virtual Masterclass coming up as well on Saturday, June 10th, 9:30 to 12:30. I will be giving a virtual masterclass thought leadership on the agile leader and building community, the agile learner, the agile leader, the flexible leader, the pliable leader, how you live that in a world that's chaotic, that's collapsing, and how creativity can emerge from this type of agility and while you're building community. Generally, this type of offering is $99, $25. You can register at the agileleader.eventbrite.com. So please feel free to go there. You can find it on all of my pages as well. So I'd love to invite you. That is a $25 for that virtual master class. I want to share that with you. All right. And also want to share with you, those of you that are in the Charlotte Concord community, I will be at this event called Look Good, Feel Good, Heal Good, continuing the conversation about men's mental health and trauma. It's going to be Sunday, June 11th, 12 to 4 p.m. I'll be there. I think the conversation starts around 1 o'clock at Weathered Souls there in Charlotte. So you can register for that event. Also as well, going to have a couple of more therapists and conversations around men's mental health and trauma. I am excited to be able to sit on a panel with some other therapists and offer my measure to the conversation. And so I'm excited about that. And that's going to be on a Sunday, June 11th. So share that with your men, the men in your life. If you want to show up, you can feel free to come and engage in the dialogue as well, because it's important that we normalize this conversation. Also, folks, if you're out there, please share with us, what are some of your takeaways? Let's get back to some of our tea timers that are sharing with us. Takeaway: release, relinquish, and remove what I can't control. Thank you for sharing that. Another takeaway: this was great. My takeaway: my energy and well-being are valuable, and I will focus on the things that are within my control to help maintain healthy energy. Anybody else want to share their takeaways again today? Teresa says, I don't have to dance with my past, but emerge with new beginnings. Thank you. Very insightful session that's been therapeutic for me. Thank you. And you are welcome. Thank you for being on Tea Time with us, Charlize and other tea timers. Anybody else want to share any last comments? Hope, Mel, any last comments you want to share before we wrap up our session for this evening?
Well, I just had such a good time tonight with our Tea Time community and everybody sharing, what their takeaways and just joining in on these things that drain us. And we're learning and gleaning from one another like we always do. So I want to say thank you to all our tea timers for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you.
Just want to say thank the Tea Time community for joining us this evening again. I think this was a phenomenal tea time, and something that we can all take away from and be aware and intentional with moving forward with the drainers. So thanks for a wonderful tea time and a wonderful engagement for tea time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you both. But from our team, I am Renewal. Take care of each other. See you next time.